Hello, my fancy friends. Hello and welcome. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but I was eating a bagel with marshmallow fluff and Nutella, so you can hardly blame me. Anyway, hi everybody, and hello. Welcome to another Suze of Paris live chat. It's so lovely to see you all here. Who do we have? We've got Libby's Journal and Ms. Jennifer, Dinobotful and Eric and Danny and Dark Ninja, Firefox, Charles D, and Richard Ian Tracy, and Eric, and Brian, and Sanisha, and Dark Ninja Firefox again, and Tabulator, and Kupka's here. How wonderful. Richard, Ian, Tracy, Not Tested, Libby, and Dino. Okay, so, hooray. Hi. Hi, everybody. Those are your names. Now, what did you say? Jennifer says, happy to be here in time for a live show. Yay, I'm glad you're here too. Dark Ninja Firefox says hello. And Charles D is excited for Terry Blas. I am too. Terry's the guest today. He's going to be coming in about an hour, in about 3 o'clock Pacific, to say hello. Terry's a delightful, absolutely delightful cartoonist, illustrator, writer based in Portland. He's going to be chatting with us about his particular gay entertainment obsessions, his Pride Month, and all that stuff. So, hooray! Richard here for getting gay and cultural and stuff. Mostly the stuff. Perfect. Brian's excited to see one of these start to finish. Yay! Did the Hex Girls from Scooby-Doo play a part in making anyone else gay? The Hex Girls? I don't remember the Hex Girls. Richard says, I'm singing Murder, She Wrote by Chaka Demu and Plier. What? What? Is that a classical thing that I don't know about? Or are those who wrote the Murder, She Wrote theme song? Not Tested says, I have a comment on your latest culture cruise. Comment away. Let nothing stop you from commenting on my culture cruise. Come along on a culture cruise with me. If you're not familiar, I gotta turn this music down. I'm sorry, the music. I can still hear the music. I don't think it's coming through for you guys. Here, I'll turn it up just a little bit. Like somebody's pounding a piano against my head. Yeah, so if you aren't familiar, my culture cruise is a YouTube series that I do where I talk about LGBT themes in movies, on TV, and games, and books, and stuff like that. And yeah, my latest one was about the Pride episode of Queer as Folk. You're correct about Delta selling Pride to EQT in Pittsburgh. There's a more protesty Pride that started in response called People's Pride. Yes, there's a lot of cities, actually, that do something called like either People's Pride or Alternative Pride that is not an opposition to, but like an alternative to the big commercial block party type prides. So I'm glad that is going on in Pittsburgh. Something that's not really talked about. Yeah, like, so here's the thing, is I did this video about Pride on Queer as Folk. It's an episode from 2002. There are, like, almost no episodes of any TV show that talk about Pride. It's kind of weird, and there's definitely, to my knowledge, none that talk about, like, alternative prides and organizations that would do more guerrilla actions during prides, like holding up the parade or whatever. So, Pride is invisible enough for some reason on screen, and people's reactions to Pride are even more invisible. Wanted to recommend Movie Bitches on YouTube. Just reviewed The Birdcage. Oh, I will check that out. Oh, I always forget about this. Giving myself something to write all your recommendations down with. James has drawn a distressing illustration on this pad of paper. So I'm going to flip it over so I don't have to look at his weird face. But not James's weird face. I like to look at that weird face. That's a good one. He's got a good weird face over there. I'm glad to be, Danny says, I'm glad I got to be on time for this one. I'm doing a senior project on learning about my own community. This has been very helpful. Oh, Danny, tell me more about your project. And Seth Jordan says, would you call Lady Gaga a gay icon? Probably. I think so. I mean, this is a very loosey-goosey term. Like, what exactly is a gay icon? There's no rules about what makes somebody yes or no an icon. But a lot of gay people like her, so, I mean, that's kind of all it takes, I think. And she likes us back, is, I think, an important part of that. Like, I don't know, is there anybody, like, any gay icons who, like, are really anti-gay? I'm trying to think of, like, oh, Donna Summer wasn't great? That's too bad. Oh, well. Well, I guess we got the last laugh on her. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's, anyone else that, like, is a gay icon who is like, grr, the gays. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Family Guy had a Pride episode in one episode, but I think it was only for a few jokes and start for some plot. Yeah, that's the thing. That's how it usually happens. Like, there's an episode of The Simpsons where it's briefly mentioned. I don't think it even comes up ever on Will and Grace. I think there's an episode of South Park that talks about, like, pride in general, like pride parades in general, without talking about gay pride. So it's just sort of invisible for some reason. I don't know. But what did you guys do for Pride? What did you guys do to make Pride extremely visible? How did you celebrate? Did you go to parades? I went to 3 Pride events. Trans Pride, the Dyke March, and the Big Pride, Seattle. I forget what the technical term for it, like the technical term for it, but like the official name in Seattle. It's something like the no, this isn't it. Rain Bags to Romance is not the name of the Gay Pride Parade in Seattle, but it's something about Rain City Pride or something like that. Yeah, so I went to Trans Pride, which was lovely and delightful and felt very much like the 90s because there were a lot of ripped jeans and acoustic guitars. Coke Zero commercial featured Pride as a gag. Good or bad? Like, I don't know how I feel weird about... I always feel weird about companies. Like, I'm happy you're here. But what are you doing about, like... Okay, it's great you put, like, rainbow Oreos in your, like, Twitter feed. That's very nice. But what are you doing to actually improve the lives of queer people? I went to Commercial Pride here because, honestly, like, Commercial Pride is, like, I think that's a good official name for, like, Seattle's Commercial Pride on Sunday is the big one. People's Pride was early in the morning. Also, last year it was very small, but apparently it was very successful this year. That's great. Well, Trans Pride was a big success this year, I think, in Seattle. The Dyke March, again, wonderful. Like a big procession around Capitol Hill and then through the sort of Capitol Hill street party. Like, it's so nice when they open up the streets for people, like, no cars, just stalls for food and people having lunch and people marching. I wish that was like an every weekend summertime thing here. It's so nice. Yeah, and Sus Jordan says, what is alternative pride? Like, how do you describe it? Here, alternative pride takes a lot of different forms. Like, there's an actual thing called alternative pride that is itself a little commercial because it's mostly like events that are ticketed. But, it's unofficial marches and unofficial protests and actions that... get attention, in the ways that Pride used to by, like, being disruptive. That's how you make change, is by bringing attention to a problem and forcing people to confront it. And Pride used to do that, and now it's more of just like a barbecue cookout kind of thing. Charles wore a narwhal enamel pin with a rainbow horn practically all month long. That is fantastic. That should be in permanent rotation in your wardrobe. I love that. Where did you get a narwhal enamel pin with a rainbow horn? That's great. Libby's Journal says, I posted a bunch of stuff on Instagram. It was sick, so like, oh no, couldn't go outside and do things. Oh, I hope you're feeling better. But posting stuff on Instagram is good. Like, get people's eyes on rainbows. That's the goal. Brian says, I went to NOLA Pride and New York Pride. Do people say NOLA, or like, do they say NOLA out loud? I feel like that's like a weird thing that tourists probably say, but I don't know if locals actually say that. It's like how, like, nobody in Boston calls it Beantown. Like, Beantown is the nickname for Boston, but I lived there for 4 years, and I don't think I ever heard anyone say Beantown who actually was in Boston. Or San Fran. Nobody says San Fran in San Francisco. Somebody says San Fran, you're like, do you mean San Francisco? Anyway, it was great to see how differently the two cities handle things. Yeah, Brian, what were the differences between New Orleans Pride and New York Pride? Danny says, I'm going to teach a class about misconceptions about LGBTQ community. This helped me learn about the history of representation in media. Also, Rhode Island Pride. Yay, Rhode Island Pride. That's lovely. Was there, I mean, surely there's more than just one Rhode Island Pride, right? Did you go to, like, Providence? Province? Wait, Province. What's the capital of New Orleans? Nope. What's the capital of Rhode Island? Providence, right? Providence. Yeah, Providence. I got confused between Providence and Provincetown. My coworker was in Seattle for Pride. Says Dark Ninja Firefox. I couldn't go to any Pride events. Oh, but spent time with my friends. Well, there you go. That's a good Pride. Spending it with the people like your chosen family. That's very Pridey. Was apparently flirted with by a waitress and didn't realize it. Oh, well, you're going to have to go back and flirt back. Long story short, started work. My business plan to work... Whoa, Libby's Journal. I think you got cut off there. Kitty's one. Oh god, it's hot where you are. 90 degrees. No, thank you. Alternative Pride, not animal tested, said last year was just a parade with a bunch of protests about the commercial sponsors. I mean, I think that's important. You know, important to raise attention to stuff like, oh, I'm not going to say company names because I can't remember which ones they were, and I don't want to accuse the wrong one. But some companies that manufacture pride paraphernalia, like T-shirts and tote bags and buttons and things, make them in countries where it's illegal or just you're persecuted for being queer. And I think those companies maybe have an obligation to try to put money into organizations that are trying to change that, if they're doing business in those countries. So I don't want to say, oh yes, it was this country that fails to do that and they're bad, because I don't know the actual names of the companies. So, but I think that's an important thing to protest. Katie1S's Katie1S says, greetings and salutations. Is here. Coke Zero commercial had an elderly man breaking out of a nursing home. He goes to a pride parade and asks, "Where's the women?" That's weird. I have not seen that. Gee, not delighted by that, but I think I'd have to see it to see exactly what it is. Not animal tested, technically not tested on animals, says there's also some tensions with police. That is still a thing. Still a thing. Still a thing. You see in Chicago, police shut down gay bars early for Pride. Like, you know, that's one way to celebrate. Commercialization is kind of tacky toward him, but at the end, can only consider being pandered to. Being pandered to is a victory. I wouldn't say it's the victory. Like, we're not, like, out there in the streets holding up signs that say pander to us. But, I mean, it's a start. Paul M. wrote a collection of gay film reviews on the avocado? What? Non-English films are so far ahead of us in representation. Yes, it's true. What is the avocado? Went to Twin Cities Pride, says Alex Payton in Minnesota. Didn't get to partake in protests as a no transport the next day to go. Aw. But you did get to go to one. So that's nice. What was Twin Cities Pride like? Are people still talking about the raccoon? Providence? Providence? I don't know why I have so much of a mental block against that. The only Pride Rhode Island has? Really? I can't believe that. We only need one, says K1S. I can't believe that. Surely there's more in, like, college campuses and things. Oh no, Danny, my straight brother took me to Pride and everyone thought we were a couple. Well, okay. Suze Jordan says, usually we have a parade and then a block party after that. The parade usually falls on Saturday. On Sunday, we have a Pride festival. That's good. I like when it's, like, spread out over the weekend. Libby's Journal says, business plans to work with LGBTQ youth who are likely to get kicked out of their homes. There's always a need for that. That is fantastic. Fingers crossed they'll be launching the online presence next year. Libby's Journal, that sounds great. Definitely keep me in the loop about that. Let me know how that's going and what we can do to get the word out about that. Brian was a tourist, but New Orleans was definitely a lot more grassroots. I like that. I like a grassroots Pride event. That's what Trans Pride felt like to me. Very few big-name sponsors, and a larger emphasis on community groups and local charities, organizations than New York Pride. Yeah, because New York Pride is enormous. At least the cops here know better than to try that, says Katie1S. That's nice. Research on my series next year about history and importance. Oh, yeah, Libby's doing some research. And college campuses are mostly in Providence. Oh, so that might explain. Okay, so it's all the college campuses, like, get together at that Pride. Brown, RISD, JWU, Roger Williams, CCRI... Okay, so it's a big Pride in Providence, but I still can't believe there's no other Prides anywhere else in Rhode Island. There's gotta be. Twin Cities Pride was fun, says Alex. My camcorder turned into dog cam thanks to my friend. Wait, does that mean you just took a lot of footage of dogs, or did you actually put a camera on a dog to see what Pride looks like to a dog? Because I am interested in that. We managed to keep off-duty cops out of uniform in the parade this year, I think. All right, I think that's appropriate. I mean, here's what I think is appropriate, is not losing sight of the abuses that were culpable in the origination of the events that we now know as Pride. Or a shorter way to say that is remember your history. So I think history needs to be a part of Pride every year. And a party too. Have fun. Run naked through a fountain. Do whatever you need to do. Wear your rainbows. But also, you know, important to know about that history stuff. I've been to New York City Pride. It's insane but fun. K1S. Downtown area set up for nice compact routes for parades. It's not. That's why it's not done in Warwick or Newport. And Aiden says hi, hello, and welcome. How did you celebrate Pride? What did you do? So I'm trying to think of like highlights of my Pride here. So the fountain, everything like the big commercial Pride, let's call it, ends in Seattle Center, where there's a big fountain, and people used to run through it naked, and that just doesn't seem to happen anymore. Everybody's wearing something, so the nudity's kind of gone away, which kind of a bummer. But also, you know, it's just one of those things that's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Russell says Pride is a sad sight when you're closeted. I mean, so this is something that I addressed a little bit in my Culture Cruise video this month. What do you do about Pride when you're closeted? It's tough. I mean, it's possible to go to Pride, but not always a good idea. It can be dangerous, you know, outing yourself or, you know, just putting yourself at risk. So you got to find other ways to celebrate. And there's, I mean, the good thing about Pride is that there are a million ways to celebrate, and there's really no wrong way to do it. I guess there are wrong ways to do it. But like, there are definitely wrong ways to do it. But as long as you're, like, be with friends or, I don't know, celebrate, like, privately on your own by, like, finding people online to talk to. I guess that's not privately on your own. You know, have, like, an online Pride. There's ways you can do it that don't put you at risk. Oh, the writing, the writing on the t-shirt is mirrored, yes. So that is so that when I, like, gesture, I don't get my brain broken. So when I hold up my hand on one side, it actually acts like a mirror. So yes, it is mirrored. The actual writing on the t-shirt is not flipped. Katie Winnes says, just go to Pride if you're closeted. It's not always that easy. It can be dangerous to do that. You know, go to Pride if you want to go to Pride. Don't feel like you have an obligation to go to Pride. Have you seen the Drunk History episodes, says Ms. Jennifer, on Stonewall and Marsha P. Johnson? I have, but it's been a while, I think. Because that was a couple years ago, I believe. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, no, I have seen it, but it's been a while. It's been at least a year. Alex says, it's literally mostly dogs. She'd point out dogs. 90% of my footage is of people's dogs. Oh, that's great. Super hot, so Stall said bowls of water for dogs. That is wonderful. Lovely. 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 I am delighted by that. There's a animal and nature festival coming up in Burien, which is outside Seattle, and I'm very interested in going to that. I want to see the animals and nature, but I'm not sure if there's actually going to be animals and nature at the Animal and Nature Festival, because I looked at last year's, and it just seems to be like a bunch of stalls where you can buy like hiking boots and water bottles and I don't know, what else do you use for animals and outdoors? Animal carriers and things. So I think it might just be a place to buy accessories for outdoors and animals. So I don't know. Anyway, this is neither here nor there. There's nothing gay about this, except for the fact that all animals are gay. I've run into people I worked with Pride. Turns out they were gay too, so no biggie. That's great. Pride in Sweden's in August, and I don't want to wait. You don't have to wait. You do not have to wait for Pride to do Pride stuff. Put rainbows on your stuff. March, yeah, you don't have to march, but put rainbows on your stuff, watch gay movies, talk about gay stuff, be Pride all year round. I think that is important. Cosmic Crash wants me to cover 6 Feet Under at some point. I can definitely put that on my list. Here's the challenge with 6 Feet Under and other, like, serialized shows is that often they require a lot of knowledge about the show to understand what's going on. So I can talk at length about Steven Universe because I've been watching all of Steven Universe at length multiple times. But when it comes to 6 Feet Under, like, to really talk knowledgeably about that, I'd have to, because I've never actually watched the show, I'd have to probably start from the beginning and kind of like watch all the way through to get what I'm talking about. So there's a real challenge to me, like, consuming hours and hours and hours and hours of stuff to make a video about it. Dylan says, I went to Pride while closeted and it was nerve-wracking. My excuse was my union and employer were participating, so I had an excuse to march. And an excuse in my closet mind. Well, you know, honestly, that's one of the good things about Pride is, for people who do need that excuse because they are closeted for their own safety or their own comfort or whatever the reason is, Pride can provide a reason, because straight people go to that to just be there and be like, oh, haha, I'm just here as an ally, before you're actually ready to come out. In Austria, says Wrestle, we had all the buses drive with rainbow flags. That's lovely. What is Austria Pride like? Tony says, I'll be going to my first Pride next week, flying to London. So excited. I'll be going alone. Any tips? Yeah, what are some tips for Tony going to Pride in London? Okay, here's my biggest tip. Wear sunscreen. Make sure you bring sunscreen, because if the weather's nice, you will get super burned. So there's that. Bring water, too. Very important. Bring water. Don't get dehydrated. Don't be a mess. Take care of yourself physically. Take care of your physical needs. All of your physical needs, if you know what I mean. What else? So big crowds at London Pride. Here's what I don't always recommend. Like, I don't always recommend going to the parades themselves. If you're in the mood for a parade, great, go to that. That's fun. But London's can be kind of boring because it's like one of those ones where it's just a barricade set up and you just stand there behind the barricades and watch and wave slowly. Like, if you ever wanted to wave at a float for a supermarket, like, if you want to here's what London Pride is like. If you want to stand in blistering heat and get a sunburn for 3 hours so you have an opportunity to wave at a Tesco truck, great, go to the parade. But my recommendation is to, like, go out, go to bars, walk around, just look at people, flirt with people, get on Grindr, say hello. I wouldn't super stress out about the parade. So that's my recommendation. Pride is all year round. I love being gay. I love being... Suze Jordan says, Pride is all year round for me. I love being gay. I love gay films and movies. Good. Good. Then you've come to the right place. Here's my other recommendation for going to prides in general, like any pride, is go and take pictures. Because that, I found, is like... It is my favorite way just to, like, meet people and talk to people and get to know a city and get to know Pride. It's easy for me to do because I've been hired to do it. So I can be like, oh, these are going to go to the Advocate, and the pictures will show up in the Advocate in a day or two. But you don't have to do that. Like, one way you could do that is just print out, like, 300 little slips of paper that has, like, your WordPress blog or your Flickr account or whatever, or even your Twitter or Instagram or your Facebook, and just hand them out to people. Just be like, hey, can I take a picture of you? Take a picture of them, and here's the URL for my Instagram. You can go see the picture there in, like, a couple days. So that is a very fun way to experience Pride. Katie Wyness says, do they do movies on the block in downtown Providence? They do a gay series around Pride Parade time. That would be great. I think that's a great idea. Is movies on the block, do they, like, project it on a building or something? Because I think that's lovely. Seattle used to do movies in the park, and I don't think it's happening this summer. At least I haven't heard anything about it. So that may not be happening. I'm not sure. San Francisco used to do movies in Dolores Park. I don't remember what they did if they did anything for Pride. I once went to, they were doing Airplane. I love the movie Airplane. So I went and I invited a friend and I invited another friend. And I was like, oh, these two friends seem like they'd like each other. And then when we both showed up, it turns out that not only did they already know each other, but they are exes. And I invited, accidentally without realizing it, two people to watch the movie Airplane with their ex. So that, suddenly, if you're ever wondering how to make one of the funniest comedies ever made, super not funny, that's how to do it. So that was awkward. Torden says, use protection. That's good advice, too. Bring condoms, or dental dams, or whatever you need to use if you are going. Yeah, pack lots of lubes, says Dylan. And get on PrEP, or whatever is the right solution for you to have the safest sex that makes sense for you. Kupka says, Steven Universe, can't wait for episode soon. I know. It's going to be in July, right? I'm so impatient. I've been introduced to some shows by watching fan cuts of gay storylines on YouTube and Daily Motion. Oh. So I learned about the gays in Merle and Degrassi without seeing the full show. Paul, that is interesting to me. I'm always looking for stuff like that. So send me links to that if you have links to that handy. Let's see. Sense8 depicts a gay pride parade. Oh, that's true. Yes, I was... that's another one that I would have to, like, watch all of Sense8 to get to that episode and understand that episode. And I know Sense8 does a lot of great stuff, but it's not a show that resonated with me. Like New York City Pride, they use barricades too. Yep. I like Paris Pride, no barricades there. Everyone could just walk in the street and have a good time and be in the parade. It's just everybody, like, hanging out together. I vastly prefer that kind of pride to the barricade prides. A Damnus Board says, I kept all the flyers at my first pride. Oh, that's really sweet. Aw. Iden says, I'll definitely watch if you make if you make another live stream. Well, so I do the live streams on YouTube like twice a month, but then I'm more frequently streaming on Twitch. So I think James will can put a link to the Twitch channel in the chat. Are you able to do that, James? Let's see what he can do. So I'm often streaming on Twitch, so you can watch me there. You can also see James, my partner, over on Twitch as well. Russell says, Austrian Pride, I only read about it because naturally I missed it. It's called, oh dear, I'm going to mispronounce that, Regenbogantag? Regenbogantag? Definitely mispronounced that. On 20th of June, it's more like a stationary festival and less a parade. Okay, that seems fun. I like that. Michael C. Hall's character has a quite up and down arcs concerning gay culture and expressing his homosexuality, so I understand that it would take a long time since Cosmic Crash got on 6 Feet Under, I think. Comic strip for better or for worse. Oh yeah, an openly gay character. Lawrence, including coming out storyline. The strip also had short-lived cartoon with the Pride Parade storyline. Really? I didn't know that. I'm writing that down. Ooh. Better or worse cartoon had Pride story. So you guys, what should I do for my culture cruise in July? I've got a few ideas, but I'd love to hear from you. What TV show or movie or book or game or whatever should I cover? Like, it'd be nice to theme it around July, like summer and, I don't know, patriotism is a very small part of July for me, especially since it's the beginning of the month and then you forget about it. But, like summer, beach, warm weather, vacation, I don't know. Like, is there something themed around that that's queer that I should do a culture cruise about? Jordan says, I guess it didn't resonate with a lot of folks since it got canceled. Yeah. L Word was my first gay show I watched. I have not seen the L Word. And Cosmic Crash, interesting-ish, but didn't resonate on Sense8. Even Providence used barricades at a certain point in the routes. Huh, that's interesting. Jengatree says, were there any ads or branded material at your local Pride? Yes, lots. When I shoot Prides, I tend to try to avoid that. Like, I'll try to crop out logos and things when I shoot Pride events, because I just think it's a little, it just doesn't look nice. At the Pride Parade in my town, when the last float goes, everyone leaves the sidewalk and joins the parade. That's what I like best. Oh, goodness. The classical music is showing me an ad for Slack. Stop it. Then that leads to the Park Festival. I like that. I like the walking in the parade. I think that is lovely when everyone can just walk. Tony says, hi, James. He says, Mrr. Charles says, my main purpose here today is to encourage everyone to watch Nanette on Netflix. It's from stand-up Hannah Gadsby. I've been hearing a lot of good things about it. I've been hearing good things. Tell me why you like it. Rumors Trudeau will be at the Pride in my town next week, says Dylan. Oh, okay. I mean, sure. Okay. I mean, he is certainly, as world leaders go, he's done a lot more good than other world leaders have. So, okay. I mean, there's always improvement to be made. I know that Canada, like Trudeau's government in Canada, has not been super great on Indigenous issues. So it's an opportunity to press him on that. Scam Season 3 is only 10 episodes. Each Scam season focuses on a different character, so you can look up the English sub online and binge the gay bi storyline fast. I know. Scam is another one that I need to get up to date on. Everyone, or is it pronounced Scam? I don't know. A lot of recommendations for that from folks. My friend at school and I were talking one day and realized we have the same ex. Oh, and we're from different towns and never met the. Talk about small world. Jeez. Adominus says, how about the gay cruise stuff? Steven Universe, maybe Fire Island for July cruising? It's true, it's cruising season. Watch Noah's Ark if you hasn't. That's another one that I have to get on. There was an episode of L Word with gay cruises. Oh, okay. Well, that might be good to talk about. L Word. Gay cruises. Definitely, like, have not talked about women on my culture cruises as much as men, so it would be good to balance that. Many people speculate a gay wedding in Steven Universe soon. Hope that doesn't count as a spoiler. I mean, if it's just speculation, it's not really a spoiler. Interesting. A gay wedding in Steven Universe soon, huh? Huh. I mean, there's a couple characters I could think of who I'd be interested in seeing involved in that, so interesting. If you watch The Fosters, it's pretty well done. I have not seen The Fosters. I've heard that it's great, but I haven't watched The Fosters. I'm putting that on my list too. The Fosters. All I've seen of The Fosters is actually, like, somebody made dioramas of some of the, like, environments from The Fosters, and they were super cute. I love dioramas. I love, like, tiny versions of things. So, I'm like, oh, well, any show that inspires dioramas I like. Ms. Jennifer says, I have to go, but know that you have a new supporter on Patreon. Yay! Thank you so much, Ms. Jennifer. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you're enjoying my live streams and my podcasts and my videos and stuff, head over to patreon.com/MattBaum. You can become a patron there for just $1 a month. You can help support this work and get some backer rewards. Hooray for backer rewards. All kinds of things available to folks there at patreon.com/MattBaum. And you can also, I'm not sure exactly if YouTube has implemented this yet, but I think there's a way to like cheer or something on YouTube and like donate a little bit on YouTube. I'm not sure how that works, so I'm not giving you instructions on that because I don't know how. Oh God, the Halloween course just started. Oh, it's so loud. Oh man. Have to go, new supporter. Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. I really appreciate it. Nanette says, kind of a crash, kind of open wound honesty, very personal and emotional, but also funny. Okay, personal, emotional, also funny. I like making that funny because that's tough. Ooh, have you thought about covering Angels in America? That's an interesting one. I'm definitely putting that on the list. Angels in America. I might do that in December since it's HIV Awareness Month. Or at least I think HIV Awareness Day is at the beginning of December. I'm not sure if the whole month is dedicated to HIV awareness. But anyway, you know, obviously every day should be a day for HIV awareness. What are your feelings on the gay character Shore Leave on Venture Brothers? Oh, I'm not familiar with that. Tell me more about that. Ingy Bingy 2000. As to the commercialization, says Libby's Journal, there's the fact that a lot of these fast fashion, I don't know what that means, despise a lot of business practice. Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah, I am unhappy when I see businesses affiliated with Pride that I'm like, but your business is not always so good. Oh, awesome. Charles D. Sent a link to the Pride Parade sequence from For Better or For Worse. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll make a note of that and come back to that in a little bit. Gay characters in anime games, there's several in Danganronpa. Main antihero Kochi Oma is gay. Open lesbian Tenko. Main character is bisexual. Gosh, okay. Oh yeah, Dylan. Yeah, there are. I know a lot of issues that still need attention. Yeah. You should do a video on Noah's Ark, a show centered around queer people of color. Yes, that's another show that I need to get caught up on. I need to learn more about the show and the characters and all that stuff. Have you seen the DL Chronicles? No, I've never heard of that. What is the DL Chronicles? Chloropo says, I'm here for the ride. Well, welcome to the ride. Hang on tight, I guess. All my friends are LGBT, says, almost all my friends, says Dark Ninja Firefox. So we find each other before we knew we were gay ourselves. Isn't it funny how that happens? Same thing happened to me when I was in high school. All the people, not all, most of the people I was friends with in high school are queer, openly queer now. Angels in America was fairly good. The band played on was also good. Oh boy, these are a lot of very heavy. Yeah, World AIDS Day is December 3rd, says Dylan. Yeah. Often when I cover like stuff like Angels in America and the band played on, a longtime companion, I definitely need like a emotional palate cleanser after that because I'm like, oh my god, there's so much suffering. I need something nice. Oh, like Nanette, for example. I'd say Nanette is different from Hannah Gadsby's other stuff, which she addresses. She's funny, but also very serious and not. Different type of comedy show. Alex says, Angels in America was one of the first queer books I read that involved HIV/AIDS. It made me cry. I actually had to take a week-long break at one point because one of the characters made me mad. It is a lot, I will say. Yeah, Angels in America. I saw a okay version on stage when I was in college, and I haven't come back to it much since. So it might be a good time for me to revisit it. The exact same thing happened to me too, says Ali Spirit Hunter. All my friends were gay, and I didn't know it. It's like we gays naturally gravitate towards each other. You know, I think for a lot of queer people, they know that something is different, and they're like, maybe you don't know what it is, maybe you don't want to think about what it is, but somehow you've just formed those communities. Andrew R. says, I love the old sitcom Culture Cruise videos. Any coming up? Yes, I've always got some in the works. Well, this is my question for everybody is which shows or movies or whatever would you like to see me do on the next one? Is there anything like themed around July or summer that I should talk about? Or just like some show in general? Because like I did Frasier in May, I think? And like there's nothing May about that. So what show would you like me to talk about next? Mary Tyler Moore. A lot of people have asked me to do the Mary Tyler Moore show because there is a gay episode of that. I would like to do that episode, although I don't know how much there is to talk about on the show itself, but we'll see. I tell myself these corporations, as Dylan, pay to be in Pride, which gives them more money, and that's all I think about when I see a company in Pride. Well, I mean, the other thing is, like, the corporation is giving money to queer people. So, I mean, it's kind of taking bad money and making bad money good money. So, that's nice. money's just money. It's what you do with it that makes it good or bad. And so if money that was going to be used for something bad is going to be used for something good instead, that's nice. Dylan says, charge corporations double and give free admission to small groups. Yeah, I think that is exactly the right way to go. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend has some bisexual representation. Okay. And that is not a palate cleanser. Okay, good to know. Lefty says, I haven't been able to find too many gay shows or movies or shows. I know they're out there, but I haven't been able to find them. Well, I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons I do my Culture Cruise videos, is to recommend stuff and help people find TV shows and movies and books and stuff that will help you, feel like you're part of this long history of queer presence on screen. I mean, a good place to start, honestly, is The Celluloid Closet, documentary from 90-something? 1994, I think? Maybe a little later. Anyway, Celluloid Closet. Great documentary, all about queer stuff, going back to the beginning of motion pictures. So that's, one good thing to look at. Baby Boodle says, it's true, I've definitely gravitated toward queer people all my life. Only really just put the dots together about me being queer. It's so funny, right? Like, looking back, you're like, oh, of course we were all friends. But how? How did we know? Why did we know? How did that happen? It's super weird. Like, one of my friends in high school didn't come out until, like, his 30s, I think. Another definitely didn't come out when we were in high school. There's another who was out at the time. Trying to think the other thing is I'm not super in touch with a lot of my high school friends anymore, so I don't even know. But yeah, somehow we just, all the sensitive boys just kind of found each other. Oh boy, Androgynous Teen says, surviving a plague. Also same with the almost all LGBT friends with me too. I think you mean do you mean the movie How to Survive a Plague? Because that's another one that's, oh boy. It's a lot. Emotionally, it's a lot. Call Me By Your Name, says Arthur Christensen. That's not a bad idea. That's very summary. That is a good... Yeah, what are good summer... Just like, not necessarily for Culture Cruise, but what are just good summertime gay things? Good summertime gay books, movies, TV shows, games, whatever. What do you recommend? Libby says, another vote for the Fosters. Adam Ruins Everything has an episode about donations. Oh boy. Wish I knew more shows that involve gay stuff. I only really listen to fictional podcasts, so I can find well-written queer characters there. Yes, I assume you're talking about oh no, I forgot the name of the show. It's not Neverwhere. It's Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale. And we've got a lot of queer characters in our podcast, Queens of Adventure. It's a podcast featuring 4 drag queens playing an ongoing Dungeons & Dragons adventure. You can find that at queensofadventure.com. And of course, I, the DM, the Dungeon Master, as you can see on my backwards shirt, am queer, and all of our performers are queer, and they play queer characters. We have queer NPCs, non-player characters. It's super, 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 super LGBT. Rainbows everywhere. So, yeah, you can find that at queensofadventure.com if you're looking for podcasts that are real gay and real fun. What else we got? Big Mouth has I'm Gay. Wait, what? I didn't see the single episode, but I know that Big Mouth has I'm Gay song, but I don't know the context of it. What is Big Mouth? Also, I'm Gay is the name of a song in this totally forgotten musical from the 1970s called, I apologize for this title. The title of the musical is Let My People Come. It is a musical all about sex and sexuality, kind of like a ripoff of Hair. And it is appalling, and it has a song called I'm Gay that is just the goofiest. Oh no, the chat is scrolling too fast for me to read, help. Oh yes, Just a Guy Friend has a good recommendation. Rantasmo has a video on the movie Boat Trip, if you're in the mood for more queer July appropriate videos. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend actually watching Boat Trip, but I would recommend watching Rantasmo's video about it. Because Rantasmo is fantastic. I've never watched these Culture Cruise videos. I ought to, because I've always wanted to find material, but never really started out just because it's hard. Yeah, well, so watch my Culture Cruise videos. I should put more recommendations in those. You can also, if you're looking for recommendations, check out my other podcast, The Sewers of Paris. At the end of every episode, I recommend some queer piece of media. So you can just go to sewersofparis.com and just look through past episodes, and on each episode, I've written out like a recommendation for something that you should check out. And I'm up to almost 200 episodes at this point, so lots of recommendations there. Oh, Moonlight, of course, Moonlight. I can't believe I forgot that. Moonlight. Dylan says friends. What is that? Calling by your name sucks, says Dylan. Just because something's bad though doesn't mean we don't talk about it. The Last of Sheila. What is that? I don't know that. Oh, something like Summer. Yeah. Not to be confused. So I always confuse those books. So Something Like Summer is a book by J. Bell, who I had on Sewers of Paris, my podcast. I always confuse it with Suddenly Last Summer. Totally different movie. Oh, Sommerstrom. Sommerstrom. Yes. That, couple of years ago, that's probably like 15 or so years ago, German film about flirtation. Boys the Band that would be stripped of all the fact that it's currently on Broadway right now. It's a 50. Oh, yeah, Boys in the Band would be good to talk about. Especially about like how much it's changed and how relevant it still is in many ways. Song of Achilles is an amazing gay book. I'm not familiar with that. What's it about, Lefty Ferk? I love when I'm getting all these recommendations. I'm like scribbling them as fast as I can. Song of Achilles. Definitely misspelled that. Life is Strange Before the Storm focuses on two girls' romance. Yeah. Maybe I should talk about Life is Strange. I started playing it. Didn't get very far. Maybe it's time for me to go back to that. Pride. Oh, of course, Pride addresses the miners' strike where they were backed by the queer community. One of my favorite movies. That is one of the only movies that acknowledges the existence of Pride. Let's see. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm like racing to catch up with the chat. Let's see. Oh gosh. The Way He Looks. Ooh, yes. The Way He Looks. Short movie. The Way He Looks. Curiosity of Chance is a DCOM style teen movie from the early 2000s. What is DCOM? Absolutely bizarre, but very endearing. The Curiosity of Chance. The Curiosity of Chance. Big Mouth. Cartoon on Netflix. Russell says, all I talk about surrounding with gay friends, but I'm under the impression there isn't a single gay soul around me. Well, definitely not true. There are definitely gay people around you. It just may be difficult. Like, you know, they're probably all wary about coming out. But you don't need gay people physically around you if it's not safe. You could always just find people online like you're doing right now. Oh, potentially sad gay summer appropriate movie, Talented Mr. Ripley. Yeah. James says, or The Incredible Mr. Limpet with a gay fish. What else have we got? Let's see. Way He Looks, potentially sad. Yeah, Talented Mr. Ripley. Oh boy, that one's too much of a bummer for me. Marcos says, Big Mouth is exploration of puberty. The boy thinks he's gay, though he isn't in the end. Huh, interesting. Fast Fashion is basically on, I don't know what you mean by that. Big Mouth is some kind of animated series. Very simple for explanation. Yay, first stream, says Organized Mess. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, this chat is scrolling so much I can't read it. Yay, Organized Mess, I'm glad you are here. Aiden says, gonna start listening to Series of Paris now. Yay, thank you. Ingy Bingy says, Venture Brothers, one of my all-time favorite animated shows. Johnny Quest Superheroes, yes, several gay characters, sure leaves 100 gay stereotypes. I do love those gay, I love characters who are just like super queer, and it's not like the butt of the joke, they're just like really enjoying being queer. Oh, Danny says, talk about how problematic the yaoi genre in anime is. Focuses on pushing gay characters into male and female gender roles. That is complex. That's something that I need to learn more about. Has somebody, like, written about that or done a video about that? Because that's something I need to educate myself on. Speaking of gay music, I don't get a boner song from Naked Boys singing. Oh, you know, we were going to see that. James and I were going to see that when we were in New York, and I think there's some reason that we weren't able to. I love your channel, says Allison. It's the first LGBTQ channel on my other account I made. This one when I was in the closet, but it's the only one I can log into at the minute. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. Let's see what else we got. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll, but it's jumping around. Oh, Psycho Beach Party. Yeah. Yeah. Psycho Beach Party. Starring the fabulous Charles Busch. Author of the Pharmacist's Wife, I think, or The Alchemist's Wife. I can never remember. That's a good one. Very drag-friendly, very campy. Life is Strange, badly written game, says Karen. Only hints at romance between the characters and feels like queer baiting. That's a bummer. Oh, DCOM is Disney Channel original movie. Gotcha. I recently learned about the gay team romance Jongens, premiered in the Netherlands as a youth-themed channel. Basically, they're Nickelodeon. Seeing that growing up would have blown my mind. I'll have to check that out. Night in the Woods has some gay characters. That's true. That's true. I haven't played that one yet. And Adrift is Dark Ninja Firefox about being gay. Being bi is a scene where the main character mentions having a girlfriend. Definitely made me perk up in the theater. Last of Us DLC made me cry. Eyes Wide Open in... Oh, what? Is it in Israel? I don't know what that means. I thought DCOM was short for dinosaur comedy. I definitely want that. Oh, like Land of Lox and Theodore Rex. I'm so happy you mentioned Theodore Rex because I was about to say that. Yes. Love, Simon is a happy story. Oh, what's the there's another one that just premiered on Netflix and I can't remember the name of it now. It's like people are saying it's a better Love, Simon. It's like lower budget, but they liked it better because Simon is actually like has permission to be sexual in that. And apparently, I haven't seen Love, Simon, but apparently he's kind of like non-sexual in the movie. That's what people are telling me. But there's some show that just premiered on Netflix about a queer teenager, and I don't remember the name of it. So if anybody remembers, please let me know. Just a guy friend says, not a fan of, but I'm a cheerleader. It's way too stereotypical, and the jokes about sissy gay men not funny. You need to watch Us the Skinny? I don't know what that is. Lisa says, I found your channel a few days ago. Don't regret binging a lot of your videos. Yay! I'm happy you like it, Lisa. Thank you for watching. Have you seen the Lindsay Ellis video about the film Rent? I'll check that out. Because I like Lindsay Ellis. Rent video. I could definitely talk about the movie Rent. Ooh, I got a lot of things to say about that. I don't love the movie. Miss Marple has some lesbian episodes. All the lesbians don't have happy endings. Yeah, I know. I think that's A Murder is Announced is the one with the lesbian couple. It's one of my favorites, but ooh. BBC series Beautiful People, yes. Flashbacks to 90s adolescence. Boys Don't Cry, yeah. Oh, that's another bummer. More lesbian-focused Trailer Park Boys. Good portrayals of gay characters in the original run. Not familiar with Trailer Park Boys. Carry On Rainbow Rowell. I'm not familiar with that. Is it like part of the Carry On films? Rainbow Rowell. I'll check that out. Oh, Alex Strangelove. That's it. Alex Strangelove. Everyone's telling me I need to see that. Charming, but some folks are miffed due to some vaguely anti-bi jokes. Ugh. It's so frustrating when that happens. I think it's Alex. Yes. Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda. Love the book. Haven't seen the movie. Lindsay. Yes, Lindsay Ellis is fantastic, Jordan. Love Simon. He's not sexual because you need to castrate your gaze to make a gaze palatable, says Dylan. Orday says, most progressive thing I watched that shaped who I am was a cartoon called Static Shock. Oh, yeah, Black Teen Superhero. We talked about disabilities, about gun violence and racism. Didn't have any explicitly gay characters. Best friend Richie has an earring. Showed little to no interest in girls and did anything for Static Virgil. I vaguely remember that. Yeah, Static Shock. That was many years ago, right? Dan Bell on YouTube is gay and has great videos about abandoned places, gross motel rooms. What? That's fascinating. Dan Bell on YouTube. That's fascinating. Eyes Wide Open is to do with a rabbi and travel missionary. Cujo for Life, I think is what you're saying. He's gay and having an affair with a missionary and is filmed in Jerusalem. Interesting. And the iconic Head On? What? Do you mean the commercial? Book Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Oh, that's the second time that's been recommended to me. Aristotle and Dante Secrets. Yes. Dan Bell is gay? Says Dylan, what? He said so on Twitter, says Dark Ninja Firefox. An abandoned mall series that's worth checking out. Carry On is a book based on Raoul's other books where a girl wastes her college year writing a fanfiction. The fanfiction is Carry On. Sex Shock had crossover with Justice League. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. When Night is Falling and Better Than Chocolate is recommended by Transition is great. Head On apply directly to the head, says Dylan. Okay. Have you heard of Ackley Bridge? One of the storylines is about a Muslim lesbian teen. No, that sounds interesting. Ackley Bridge, huh? Once again, you guys are like flooding me with excellent recommendations. Entire cast is out in LGBT, which is also kind of awesome, says Libby. That is great when that can happen. Yeah, I like that a lot. Just a heads up, in a couple minutes, we're going to be bringing Terry Blas in, the delightful Terry Blas, my friend and cartoonist. Oh, and somebody just sent me, Paul, just sent me some links via email to check out. Thank you, Paul. Dylan wants to know where Terry is. He's going to be joining in about 10 minutes, a little bit less. To talk about his stuff. There's a book, Lisa says there's a book called The Art of Being Normal. I've not read it yet, but my friend says it's something to do about the topic of being transgender. Okay. Head On is a movie from the 90s. Hot Greek lead, exploration of sexuality. Very good movie. Oh. Can't say I've heard of that. Head On, 90s. Oh boy. Film. Sometimes I try to write so fast, I make shapes that aren't even letters. In the CW's Supergirl, I hate that name for a channel. The CW. It doesn't stand for anything. It doesn't mean anything. I hate calling it the CW. Her adopted sister are figuring out her sexuality and coming out as lesbian. Oh, Lefty says, gotta go, love your channel. The stream is great so far. Bye. Thank you for joining, Lefty. So glad you're here. Thank you for popping by. Thank you for the recommendations. Thank you for everything, frankly. And we're going to be bringing Terry in just a few minutes. Any other summer recommendations? What would you like to talk to Terry about, you guys? Do we have Skype already up and running, James, or do I need to get that? He just... Oh, James made a noise at me that startled me. Okay, so I'm going to tell Cortana to open a Skype. Do I want the square one or the round one, James? Because I know there's two.
There's two on the top.
All right, we're going to give that a shot. Oh, Will says CW is CBS and Warner Brothers. Well, I still don't like it. Even though it stands for something. It doesn't stand for anything I care about. Okay, and we're going to switch to some Skypey stuff, and we'll be ready for Terry when he arrives. Jordan says, I'm not sure if that was a no or meow. Aiden says, I love James already. Katie Winnes does not like Cortana. Organized Mess recommends Handsome Devil, British movie I found on Netflix about these guys that are gay. One who gets teased relentlessly. There's closeted. Oh, Handsome Devil, huh? And before we bring Terry on, just a reminder to check out Queens of Adventure. Here's some lovely art that Chad Sell did for the show. It's our podcast featuring drag queens playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's super fun, super funny. You can find it at queensofadventure.com. Oh my god, look at these. So we had these postcards done for people who backed it on Patreon. No, sorry, on Kickstarter. But you can also back the show on Patreon. All right. Oof, and get some bonus episodes if you're a backer. And Danganronpa, I bore people with this game series. There's crazy yet absurdly smart gay guy, says Russell the Fallen. Stalks main characters, delightfully psychotic. Yikes. Kuka says it's midnight my time, so I need to go. Bye, bye. Thank you for joining. I Live Here by Peru Moore. So amazing. Check it out. I love one of my top books of all time. Bill says, petition name the CW, new name Melodrama Central. I didn't once James. James, you've been requested. He's making cat noises. I can't tell if it's cats or Skeletor. James, imagine the cats that Skeletor would have. He would be a cat person, Skeletor. Okay, so we are... I'm just gonna get the Terry stuff all set up here so that we're ready for him. Oh, and there was a book recommendation. Handsome Devil. Sorry, I forgot to write it down. Handsome Devil. Yes, bleh, the devil. My history of animation professor worked on some commercials like the California Raisins, some penny cartoons on Pee-wee's Playhouse. He talked about his husband in class. Oh, that's lovely. Aw, especially because one of the people who was big in claymation in the 80s was actually kind of anti-gay. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who did like, he did like a big special. I think it was one of the other people who worked on California Raisins. He did a big thing about dinosaurs. He had like a claymation special about dinosaurs. Anyway. This is not an interesting story. Alfredo wants to know who James is. Nobody knows. He's my mysterious companion. Carnivorous whales. Wait, what? What about carnivorous whales? Russell says, okay, boys and girls, thank you for the company. My first such a gay conversation in my life. It felt very good. Yay! University exams are a bitch and I gotta go. Okay, good luck on your exams. Thank you for joining. Lovely to see you. Come back. Oh, we're gonna be doing another live stream. Well, we do lots of them at twitch.tv/prettyprettypixel throughout the month. But the next one of these Sewers of Paris live streams is gonna be, I'm checking my July schedule. I don't know. James, could you run into the office and check where I have written on the calendar the next live stream is going to be?
Don't you also have a stream coming up on Monday?
Of course, I have a stream coming up on Monday. But not here on YouTube, on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/prettyprettypixel. Oh. Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I'm also going to be on Dragon Talk, the Dungeons and Dragons live stream that Wizards of the Coast does, the official show for that. So you can find that at twitch.tv/DND, the letter ND. I'll be on that on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific. So you can find me there. Hello, friends. This is a quite adorable emo spectator. Hello. Organized Mess wants more LGBT representation in cartoons, even if I've put it there myself. Go for it. Oh, yeah, Korosami, of course. Yes, indeed. London Spy. Ooh, what is London Spy? Okay, I just got a message from Terry. Logging to Skype now. It's just taking a bit. So letting him know, no problem. Just want to say, hey, says Benjamin Zhu. I'm downloading Defining Marriage years ago. It's still a resource that I refer to when talking about marriage equality, so thank you. Yay. I'm so glad it's helpful. Hooray. Oh, I should do for Culture Cruise, Do I Sound Gay? Interesting. I don't know that I have anything to add to that. It's just a really good documentary. Yeah, but I mean, that's another recommendation, I guess. Watch Do I Sound Gay? James, what did it say is my next series of Paris live stream?
The 21st.
The 21st. So it's going to be about a month. Usually I space them out a little more evenly, but we're going to be traveling to San Francisco to do a Queens of Adventure live show on the 13th and 14th. So I will be out of town that weekend. So the 21st, July 21st for our next one of these streams. Let's see. Would you ever do videos about icons of gay pop culture like Dolly Parton? Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, for sure. I'd totally be down for that. My friends and I, says Organized Mess, make a comic, and one suggests my character and another character should hook up because they're really close. Ooh. I'm all for queer hookups. Definitely in favor of that. All right, I'm going to fade down this classy music. This Mozart and Beethoven. Okay, and let's see. So Skype is the worst. Let's see if I'm able to find Terry. There he is. It says he's offline. So just let me know we're ready when he is. He did say it was taking a while to start up because that's, well, Skype always does that. Skype's like, oh, hello, would you like to, oh, Terry Green sent you a contact request. Oh, but wait, did he send it to James or to me? Oh, aha, except I'd like to add you on Skype. Oh, Skype is the worst. There we go. Okay, good. So we're going to bring Terry in.
Remember,
Yes.
he can't see you.
Now, Terry will not be able to see me, but hello. Do we have you there? Hello, there you are. Are you? Hi. Do we? Oh, can't connect to the webcam. Yes, that's fine. Close that. Do we have a webcam for you, Terry?
I clicked the button and I'm waiting for it to.
Okay. It's thinking. Oh, I think we've got. There we go. Hooray! So you will be able to hear me but not see me, Terry. And just in just a moment, as soon as I adjust the picture.
But you can see me. That's not fair.
It is completely unfair. It's true.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
And so I'm just adjusting the window so people will be able to see you. And then we'll bring you in. There you are. I'll put you up in the corner. There we go. And move you over. And there we go. Yay, there's Terry. Welcome to Terry, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Danny says I can barely hear Terry, so I'm gonna bring you up. I can barely see Terry, says Will. It's a little dark. We've got like a lot of like bright shining light behind you. It looks a little bit like you're an anonymous witness. There you go. Oh, that's better.
Yeah, there's a window directly behind me. I'm not sure if that lamp helped.
The lamp does help. Yes.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
Let's see.
And lots of hellos to Terry's from Will and Danny and Organized Mess and Dark Ninja Firefox and Ali Spirit Hunter and Lisa. Your bandwidth is a little it's a little choppy, but I think we'll live.
Adjust this lamp. Maybe that works.
That looks cute.
I don't know.
Dylan says Terry's a cutie. And Danny's also happy to see your face. So hi, thanks so much for being up for doing this, Terry.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We
Works well. It cuts out a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're having some bad. Oh, wait, it just got a little clear, so I think maybe now it's working better. Yay. Will says, try
And
downloading more RAM.
It's like Skype wouldn't even let me log in. I had to create a completely new account.
Oh, jeez. That's the thing that like Skype always does to people is it's like, hello, you would like to use this program? Well, here are a million downloads you have to do.
Well,
and,
sorry.
Yeah, and also you can't remember your username and there's no way to recover it. So, blurp.
Right.
So we were just talking about
See you because I just logged into the live stream and turned the audio down. So I can see you and I can see the lovely Jessica Fletcher in the bottom
good
left corner.
Hooray! Yes, hello to Jessica. So Terry, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I work in comics. I primarily write graphic novels now. I started in illustrating comics, but my career has shifted somewhat into mostly writing. I have a book out now called Deadweight. I co-wrote with Molly Muldoon and is illustrated by Matthew Seeley. It's a queer YA murder mystery at fat camp. That's out now. And you know that I have another book that was just announced, Dare, which is a kids adventure series kind of thing,
So-
fantasy thing with
We're losing you
Yeah.
just a little bit. Like, I'd say Terry, if maybe like try closing the window where you can see the stream, and that might bring some more bandwidth for you. Because it's getting a little choppy.
Okay, give me just a second.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody, go get Terry's book,
I am going
Dead
to
Weight, which is
Close
fantastic.
this out.
It is a
Let me close out a few things.
okay. Organized Mess says, Terry, you are who I aspire to be. Yay. And Will
Me?
yes, you. Organized Mess wants to be making cartoons and comics and telling stories and stuff. Putting queer characters in everything.
All right. Yeah, that's important to me. I feel like I want to create, young adult or all ages kind of material for kids, queer kids, adults, but like stories containing queer characters where it's not so much about the fact that they're queer, but that they get to go on adventures and live fun lives too.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, like when you put queer characters in things, because on one hand you have the people who are like, oh, everything needs to, the readers who want it to be an investigation of like queer themes, but on the other hand, sometimes it's nice just to have a queer person like, making lunch or whatever, and the queerness just is just a part of their lives.
I guess this is slightly spoilery, but in the beginning of Hotel Dare, the kids are sent to live with my next book. The kids are sent to live with their like creepy Mexican grandma, and one of the kids is wondering like, why do we have to go here? And the oldest sister, she says, well, you beat up that kid at school. Dad sent us here to stay with grandma. And she's like, well, he said you were queer. And the older sister says, I am queer. And then like that's the last they mention it.
That is so great, and like unimaginable like a decade or so ago to have that in like
Right.
like a story that for young adult audiences, like it's just unthinkable.
Right. And now I think young adults, like kids, are just kind of, hopefully they're getting more used to that kind of, diversity in stories. It's like they don't want the same old stuff anymore. And, stories about minorities and ethnic minorities and sexual minority are now suddenly interesting by default because they're not the norm.
Exactly, yeah. And Paul says, I'm okay with queerness being part of characters' lives as long as someone mentions they're queer, so not a fan of the Dumbledore school of representation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm not so much a fan of that either. I think like I would rather just like I did in my book, just state like I am queer and then like they're queer and that's who they are and that's a character. But to be this like vague, like if it's not in the text, it doesn't really exist. You got to wonder about it. I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like a lot of the MCU movies where you know, they're the interviews with directors and actors and whatever later where they're like, oh yeah, we were going to make that character queer, but we'd have to cut the scene. Or we're going to have...
Right, like the Valkyrie, whatever. And it's like, well, then
Yeah,
then the character's not queer.
right, right. You
Yeah.
know, have the courage. I think Kate Leth has a pin that's like, it's an enamel pin that says, make it gay, you cowards. And
Yeah,
I like,
yeah.
that really speaks to me.
That's a great pin. Yeah, I agree. I think it's time for that. It's like, it's just needed.
Yeah. Danny says we need representation that doesn't scream "I'm gay" every 5 seconds, but they can't just be assumed. And Aiden says, yeah, I don't do it just to be more diverse, J.K. Rowling. If you're gonna do it for real. Make it gay in all caps.
Yeah, I think another good example, especially on speaking about things for a younger audience too, is Hamish Steele's Dead India.
Yes.
I just picked up a copy of that at the ALA conference. Hamish is a friend of mine, but he created this great, series with, a lot of diversity, a trans character, and there's part of the storyline that deals with that, but it's not, the entire focus. It's a fun adventure that these characters get to go on.
Yeah.
But it's definitely there in the text. It's not like implied that is this character trans? Like it's not that,
Hamish is fantastic. Terry, you actually introduced me to him when I was in London. You put us in touch. He's a delight.
He's wonderful.
Yeah. I do recommend everybody go follow Hamish Steele, fantastic artist, cartoonist in London. Let's see. Charles says they did that with In the Heights, a gay character made straight when it was all finished. That is such a bummer.
What?
I didn't know that about In the Heights.
And when that happens, you can always tell too. It's like, really? You're not.
Even in like Book of Mormon, originally when they were just like kind of workshopping Book of Mormon, the gay character, it was like the main character was going to be gay instead of being, I think Elder Price is the gay one now. Like he's kind of like a minor character, and he has that one like Turn It Off song. But the main guy was going to be gay when they were originally making it, and I kind of like regret that it didn't wind up that way.
I wonder if they felt like, oh, well, it'll bring in more audiences if he's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's stupid, but as if people who are like super Mormon are going to see the Book of Mormon thinking that he uplifted.
Yes.
I was a Mormon missionary, so that's giving me PTSD. Let's move on.
Non-Hamilton has said, I was okay with Dumbledore until they said they won't be exploring the relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald in a movie that they both appear in. They won't be exploring. Like, what a missed opportunity.
That's what I don't understand is if J.K. Rowling had said, like, oh, Dumbledore's gay, and I would have been okay with it if in these new movies, this Fantastic Beasts, they would let Dumbledore be gay, or at least mention it or talk about it, especially since there's going to be 5 of these.
Yeah.
Like, she'd then let them or told them they had to kind of include that, great. But like, since, I don't know, it's just like this strange erasure of like that part of your identity. Again, it doesn't have to be all about that, but like acknowledge it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wonder if this is just a symptom of straight people writing gay characters, which is often what happens when someone who is a member of a privileged group tries to write about a disadvantaged or a minority group. They just don't know the experience.
Yeah, I think that I don't know, if you seek out people to write stories and create characters who have had experiences being queer, being part of a minority group. Those will be good stories. They'll be like told from a closer point of view. And I'm not somebody who believes that, if you're not part of a certain group, you can't write a believable character that way. I mean, like the guys who wrote Avatar are definitely not Asian.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, but if it's done respectfully, if it's done with research and asking questions and, with the interest to learn and to create something good, then I think that's great. But I don't know. I hope with my career that I'm able to like bring about stories for people who want to see characters that are different, have interesting adventures.
Yeah, Will Schneider has a good question here. How would you want straight writers to tackle something so outside of their experience as being LGBT? Like, what's the right way to do it? I think listening is like the first step.
I think the right way to do it is, to listen and to ask questions, to like seek out people who, I guess my question would be, if you are a straight you know, white, whatever, like say male, and you want to write a book with a trans female character, but you don't know any trans female people,
Hmm.
then you're not going to do a good job unless you ask questions, talk to people who have had who do live that experience, um, involve them in your writing process. Like I didn't know a lot about writing murder mysteries. I sought out Molly to like help me with that, and then we co-wrote a book together. So I think seeking out those like I read a great quote that like someone had said, that they didn't believe in you should only write what you know.
Hmm.
They believed in like write what you want to know,
Oh.
which
Hmm.
is so interesting to me because then you have to research it, you have to look into it, you have to become sort of an expert at it, And
Yeah.
that's not to say if you're not certain, like if you're not Mexican, you can become an expert at being Mexican, but you could at least acknowledge those experiences with respect,
Hmm.
if you seek out that information. I don't know.
So
Does that make sense?
yeah, that reminds me of something that Ashley Comp, who's a producer for I can't remember the name of the company, but she does. James, do you remember the name of the company that Ashley Comp worked for? We interviewed her about the lesbian routes on the what's the style of game where it's like sort of a romance, choose your own adventure kind of Otome games. So she wrote some storylines or produced some storylines that had queer and non-binary characters, and so her slogan, sort of like the slogan that she was operating off of, was "Nothing about us without us." So she brought in writers who knew that experience, and
Yeah.
BioWare did the same thing with Dragon Age when they were working on the character of Krem. I interviewed a bunch of the people who worked on that, Karen Weeks and her husband Patrick, and they brought in consultants and had conversations with people to be like, are we doing this right? And tell us the terminology and what's not working here. So listen and learn, basically.
And when something like that isn't done well, you can always like point it out and pick it
Yeah.
out. I remember watching a couple of movies that were like, there's these teen characters, and one of them, she's this pious Mormon girl, but she's wearing like a dress that's like completely, it's like strapless, and I'm like, no, that's immodest. A Mormon girl wouldn't wear that.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can pick it out, and it will stand out in your mind forever. And it's only when you seek out, if you're a writer and you don't want to learn, I don't understand you. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's the whole point. It's something that I learned really early is that learning is part and research is part of the process of writing. When I was going to school for college, I had a writing teacher who was like, just said it like it was something assumed. I can't remember what the piece was that somebody else was writing. It was something historical, and they brought the outline to class, and the writing teacher had something like, "Oh, okay, so what's your research plan?" And the student was like, "What do you mean?" And so we had a whole lesson about like how before you start like putting the words on the paper, you need to absorb the words that other people have written.
Yeah, I have a fear of like looking stupid in my writing.
Right.
And so if I'm gonna write about something like say a hotel in Mexico, I need to do some research about what that's like, about where this would be, so that it's believable, so at least I know, because I think a reader subconsciously will get it too.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Will Schneider says, that's a great answer. Aiden says, great advice, Terry. And Coco says, it's jarring when a history movie is historically inaccurate, same as when a movie is socially inaccurate. Yeah, this isn't particularly queer, but something that kind of reminds me of is how, bear with me on this, Star Trek The Next Generation. I love this show.
I love it. Let's go. I love it.
Great. But something that I think they really dropped the ball on there is like they're predicting all these like social or science fiction technology advances, but not necessarily social advances. And I think it's an area where sci-fi often drops the ball. The original Star Trek was even worse about this, about like having, disempowering women. But even Next Generation is really not great with their women characters. They make Troy wear the bunny suit for 6 out of the 7 seasons.
Yeah, until like a Starfleet officer shames her into wearing something else.
Right, yeah, and it's actually a great point. Is like she starts wearing a uniform and looking more like or less like a sex object because a
Although,
man shames her for what she's wearing.
can I say that I was a Commander Riker fan until he shames Ensign Rowe
Oh,
for
right.
wearing her Bajoran earring
Yes.
and
Yeah.
having it not be Starfleet regulation. And I'm like, look at your girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Anyway,
such a weird scene. Like she's wearing something with religious significance and cultural significance, and he's like, "That's not
yeah,
regulation." And I'm like, "Okay, first of all, Troy. Second of all, Worf with the sash. I mean, Worf, the character, was created to be a reference to Sikh service members in like he was an analog to Sikh
yeah,
service members in real life, and like." What? Oh, and Coco brings up how Next Generation put a man in a dress in one of the first few episodes, but never since. Like they never had men in the
yeah.
miniskirts after that first one or two episodes.
Someone should do a mini comic about that guy in the Starfleet dress and how like he never gets any attention. Like he's just in the background of all
Yeah,
their adventures. Nobody ever, yeah, I don't know.
that poor guy, that poor extra, who they like.
Yeah,
I wonder what the conversations were like. Oh, this is going to be very forward thinking. We're going to have men in the miniskirts from the original series, and yeah, never shows up again. It's such a shame.
yeah.
Oh
Oh
well. I do like the idea of like doing like an expanded universe thing about him. Glenn, I forgot his name. Glenn, he does Pop Culture Happy Hour. Glenn Weldon wrote a short story, a short Star Wars story about a queer stormtrooper who was on the Death Star, who was it was about TK-421, the stormtrooper who was not at his post, and he was not at his post
Oh,
because Grand Moff Tarkin, I think, had like this romantic interest in him and had him reassigned. So it's this very
oh,
gay, Star Wars story that Glenn wrote, and it's like, I don't know exactly what the term for is it canon wise, but it was actually like officially licensed Star Wars story that he wrote for Lucasfilm.
whoa,
So I wish I could remember the title, but it's really delightful.
that's great.
Will says it was a scant, referring to the dress. They're super comfortable. Yeah, with the weather getting
I
warmer,
mean, I bet.
I used to make fun of like I would see people wearing like the utility-kilts, and I'd be like, it just looks weird. And then like the older I get, the more I'm like, I just want something that breathes in the warm weather.
Oh God, I wore jeans this morning out to take a walk, and I regretted it instantly.
Oh, no. Are you back? Are you back in Portland right now?
Yeah, I was just in New Orleans for the American Library Association conference,
Oh,
and it was
right.
so hot there, it was criminal.
Yikes! Yeah. Ooh, and humid, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, definitely.
Were you there? Were you there in time for Pride, or was it just after Pride?
No, I think it was just after. It's funny because I went to Los Angeles and missed their Pride by a week.
Ah,
And while I was in Los Angeles, Portland Pride was happening. And then I went to New Orleans and had missed their Pride by a week. So I didn't do any Pride this year.
it's like you're just there to get like the messy cleanup afterwards, and everyone's exhausted.
I'm hustling to like release books with queer characters, and that's my Pride. That's how
That's
I
good.
celebrated Pride.
Good. Well, actually, that's something that we're talking about
By
earlier
putting
with.
work out to the world.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just making everything gay. That is how to do Pride year round.
Yeah,
I think I don't
of
remember if it
course.
was Aiden or someone else in the chat was talking about not being able to do Pride in their own hometown because they weren't out, but wanting to find ways to just to Pride outside of Pride, basically, whether it's doing stuff
Mm,
online or making queer creative works or whatever it is.
yeah, there's plenty
Uh,
of stuff you could do.
Voyager had some gender bending when a female character was stuck in a man's body and he flirts with Tom Paris. Okay, that's
I
kind
just saw
of
that episode because I am on my like fourth rewatch of Voyager.
okay. Is it handled well or no? Is it problematic?
Mm,
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I think it could probably have been done maybe better, but who knows?
There is a delightful episode of Voyager with Sarah Silverman that
I
I
love that
highly recommend.
episode.
Yes, she is super
And I
fun.
just saw a Virginia Madsen episode of Voyager too,
Oh,
where
wonderful.
she's in love with Chakotay and he doesn't remember her.
Oh. I
Hmm.
do like. I love so many of the cast, and I love so many of the ideas of Voyager, and I think the execution almost always kind of like it's wobbly on the final product.
Well, I mean, I guess that's fair, but that's with a lot of Star Trek, I think.
It's true.
You could say that about any one of the series.
That's true. They don't always age as well as they might have liked.
Yeah.
Katra just joined. How are you doing, Matt? I'm in Ruston, Louisiana, and I'm about to go to the NFB convention. What is the NFB convention? And Gregory says, I recall Jonathan Frakes stating in an interview that he pushed for a male actor to play his love interest in the episode titled The Outcast. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That's a really heartbreaking episode. They like basically haul her away to like straight as great camp.
Right. Yeah. It really sucks. And it would have been great if there was a male character playing it, but also they were making the show for syndication in the 1990s. And I get like the commercial considerations that they had to make there. I mean, as it was, they couldn't show that episode for a long time afterwards.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. There were a lot of places that I think didn't broadcast it when it originally aired. And then it got pulled from syndication for a long time.
I mean, give me a break. It's an alien.
Right. Yeah, I know. Libby's Journal says, please talk about an acknowledged bi erasure. And doesn't Sulu and a partner have a kid in the new Star Trek movies? I mean, kind of. Like, they never talk about it. He's just, like, on screen for a fraction of a second, and it's like, blink and you miss it, so...
Well, here's the thing, is that, like, that could easily have been, like, his brother that had been watching his daughter.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know what I mean?
Right.
Bi erasure is something that I think is really messed up, and in another project I have that I can't speak about, I have a bi character that I spend a little time with, I guess, to sort of talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I think that it's something that I think we need more representation of, and it gets forgotten quite a bit.
That's true. I remember that being one of the big issues when Brooklyn Nine-Nine looked like it was getting canceled, that people were upset about like having like a really strong bi character on TV. There's so few, and like to lose one is such a big deal.
Yeah. Definitely.
Iden says, "Can you upload this to the live stream? Upload this live stream to the channel afterwards, because I'll have to leave soon." Yes, everything will be uploaded. It'll be available to watch as a VOD shortly after the broadcast ends, so it will be available. And Katra says, "Oh, you're going to the National Federation of the Blind convention in Orlando, having an LGBT meeting that I'm going to. That's great, Katra. I know that was a big priority for you, doing more LGBT advocacy in the NFB. So I'm happy that that's happening." And Organized Mess says, "Can we talk about Deadpool? Movie version is pansexual, but it's not really shown other than for laughs." So I haven't seen the Deadpool movies.
I've seen the first one. I did think it was really funny and really well done. Yeah, I don't think that if you just saw the movie and you didn't know the Deadpool comic or character, you would have no idea that he was like pansexual or anything. You know?
And
if there was an inkling of it, you would think it was a joke.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
that's almost worse than like not having it at all. Is like it's in there, but it's funny. Like, oh boy. There was a video that was going around, and I don't know if it's in the movie or like a bonus feature or whatever it was, or if it's from the second movie, of Deadpool dancing in an empty theater with a spotlight following him, and he's wearing like high heels. Have you seen this video?
Was that the video that he did with Celine Dion?
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. What?
Oh, yeah. There's a video where Celine Dion is singing in a theater and he's like dancing around her.
That might actually be it. I've only seen like animated GIFs of it, so my knowledge of it is very
No,
scant.
I think that's what it's from. Yeah,
Okay.
It's really bizarre.
Okay, great. I know it because Mia Koopa, Anthony Oliveira, tweeted the animated GIFs of it, and I was like, this is delightful. And, you know, obviously it's not whichever famous Chris or Ryan plays Deadpool. It's not him in the suit. It's this queer dancer who's very famous, was like in the Deadpool suit doing the dance.
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of want to see the Deadpool movies just so that I can get to that dance scene.
All just for the dance scene.
Yeah. Oh, Danny brings up a good point, a good issue. I found out a scene where Pearl and Rose Quartz dance together. It was censored in a few countries in Europe. Yeah, I think it was not broadcast in the UK of all places. If I remember that correctly.
That's so bizarre to me.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. It was such a scandal.
The
James,
stuff that gets censored there and doesn't get censored there. It's so interesting.
Right? It's so strange. And, you know, it's so, I don't know if hypocritical is the right word, but it's so aggravating when you see censorship for sex but not violence. You know, you can have, like, horrible bloody violence, but God forbid somebody a woman dance with a woman.
Going back to Hamish, he said once that, you know, the reason he has to fight so hard to put queer characters in cartoons and other media meant for children or aimed at children is because he feels that the first time someone sees two men or two women show physical affection toward one another, it shouldn't be as a grown adult.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great
You know,
point.
like that's because, and he said this in the wake of Pulse, when that happened, and I read that and it totally stuck with me, and it like helped me solidify that that's what I want to do with my life is to bring more of that representation, and especially in stuff for like young adults. Because I mean, so many adults today read young adult literature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That because I think it's much more of an escape and it's much more imaginative. And so I think it's important to have that in there. I'm sorry, you were going to ask me a question.
Do you remember the first time you saw on screen or in a book or anywhere two men showing romantic affection? I'm trying to remember what it was for me. What was it for you?
Like showing actual romantic physical affection for one another. It was an episode of The Real World in Miami.
Okay.
I was probably like 15.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Mexico, and it was on the satellite TV that we had at the time. My parents were asleep. I was terrified they were going to wake up and see what I was watching. But I remember seeing that and being like really taken aback. I had a very sheltered childhood. It was like all Mormonism and Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop. I was kind of shocked.
I'm trying to remember what it would have been for me, and I simply can't. I literally cannot remember the first time I would have seen. I mean, it might have been. I definitely remember like early, like in high school, when I would see like the movie Jeffrey or something like that.
Yeah.
But what was the first time? I don't know. Definitely not as a kid. I don't think I would have seen boys kissing as a kid. Yeah. Oh, Gregory says it was Giannis Marshall who was dancing Deadpool, famous queer dancer.
Oh yeah, the guy that's always wearing the heels.
Yes. Yeah. Is that no? I'm thinking somebody else. There's another one who got kind of famous. What's his name? I can't remember his name. He's a dancer in Texas with like Houston Ballet, who got kind of famous for this viral video of him on a treadmill with some of the other ballet dancers in like giant heels. They're like ridiculous. Oh, I wish I could remember his name.
That's the same person.
Yeah. Anyway, Katra says, I'm watching this with one of my blind classmates from training, and she only just found out that I'm ace and bi last night. Oh, well, hooray for being able to tell people. It's nice when you like know people and have people in your life that you can come out to, Katra. So congratulations. Yeah, and Will Schneider says, imagine being so fragile you have to censor dancing. It's sad. It is. Oh, yeah, an Ireland song in Eurovision censored in China because it's about a gay romance. Ugh.
Ugh, jeez.
Yeah, yeah. In Adventure Time, which I haven't watched, Organized Mess says, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline the Vampire Queen have implied feelings for another, but they don't ever get together or anything. That's so frustrating. They was confirmed they used to be ex-girlfriends, says Ali Spirit Hunter. Interesting. Yeah, so I've only ever watched the very first Adventure Time when it was like a very different show, sort of like a test that they did for Nickelodeon.
This is going to be maybe a little too much, but when Princess Bubblegum and Marceline have this off-screen confirmed former relationship, it really this is so dumb. It really bothers me that in one episode, there's a cookie whose name is Baby Snaps, and he wants to be a princess really bad because Princess Bubblegum came to read stories to them in the orphanage. And one of the stories she said, you can be anything. And he said he wanted to be a princess because he admired her so much. And then she laughs, and he literally says, she laughed in my face.
Oh, no.
And so he then holds up a gas station grocery store with like a gun and everything. It's bizarre.
Okay,
episode.
well, that escalated.
But I don't understand how she could be so open-minded to have a relationship with a girl and then tell this little boy Cookie that he can be anything he wants, and then when he says he wants to be a princess, she's like, "Oh, you're stupid."
Oh, shame, princess.
Shame.
Well, hopefully she's grown as a person.
Great episode. I hope so, or at least as a gumball.
Here in Seattle, one of our like local drag celebrities, Mama Tits, has started doing story time for kids. So like going to libraries and reading to kids. She has to go by Mama T when she does it. They don't want her to say like, "Hi, it's me, Mama Tits," to the children. So, I get it.
I am familiar with that because I drew the Mama Tits Saves the World comic.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I have to call it Mama T.
Yep. That's I'm not sure. It's on the bookshelf behind me. I don't know where it is, but yeah, that Mama Tit Saves the World comic is delightful. Uh,
Yeah, it's fun.
that was at I think I'm trying to remember. Oh, you that launched around DragCon last year, right? Or maybe it was just before.
Um, yeah, I think it was last year or the year before. Maybe the year before. And I did a panel with Mama Tits. It was fun. Yeah.
Organized Mess says, not gay, but still LGBT. Jughead had always been shown having no interest in women until he was confirmed ace in comics. But Riverdale, a series made based on the comic he's in, he gets a girlfriend. I remember, like, when they introduced Jughead, like, initially on the TV show, people were excited to have an asexual character. But that's kind of a bummer that they didn't go that route on the show. Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that TV show probably thought, like, we can get more drama if he has relationships with people.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it's hard to have, like, love triangles when one of your characters is like, no
Right.
relationships. I didn't. Rudemo says, where do I follow Terry? Terry, where can people find you on the internet?
If you just Google my name, my Twitter and my Instagram are both at Terry Blas. It's TerrybLas. That's where I update most of my artwork and most of my stuff. But my website is terryblas.com. Yeah, and that's also my email at Gmail.
Dark Ninja Firefox says, to me, what's worse than non-representation is when homophobic and transphobic demonizations, like him from Powerpuff Girls, are suddenly seen as great representation. So that's an interesting point. The character of him, yes, problematic, but also...
Which character is this on Powerpuff Girls?
That's the one who looks like the devil, basically. And he's got, like, the very queer voice, and he's very, like, he sounds like Charles Nelson Riley. No, wait, not Charles Nelson Riley. He sounds like the other Charles. James, what's his name? The one who goes, yes. Charles something something.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
And so this character was seen as, like, bad representation and now seen as good?
Well, so he was super bad and, like he was a villain who they had to defeat. And part of his villainy was that he was, like, I think he had like a tutu, and he was just very effeminate, but he also had a beard. And so it was super stereotypical villain. So I get like why it's a problem. Like it's complicated because on the other hand, I find those characters really fun.
Imagine if there had been a character on the Powerpuff Girls that spoke that way and wore a tutu, but was one of the heroes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure it would have been censored right away.
That's a good point. It's sort of like a Hays Code thing where you can show a character who's gender non-conforming, but only if he's bad.
Right.
So I don't know, but I also like really love queer villains is the problem. So like I don't know, what's his name from Hercules? I can't believe I've forgotten his name.
Hades.
Hades, yeah.
Yeah.
So or Scar.
Scar from The Lion King is very gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Ursula is completely gay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, all the Disney villains are gay.
Yeah, exactly. So I like having those queer villains. And I get that it's problematic to be like, oh, all people who are gender nonconforming are evil. That is a problem. But also, it's just they're super fun.
Well, definitely not a villain, but I think the first gay character I ever saw on TV was Hollywood Montrose from Mannequin.
Yes. Describe what you see when you see Hollywood.
I see fabulosity. Like it's strange because like that was for the time probably some of the only queer gay representation that there was, and he's a very flamboyant, very effeminate window dresser for this department store. But to this day I still love that character because I think that I got asked a really awkward question on a panel once, which was, do you think it's better to have no representation or bad representation? And I was like, you're trying to catch me in a trick here. but ultimately I said, I guess bad, because if you have bad representation, it exists, and that means you can start a conversation about how it could be better.
Right. Yeah.
But if there's nothing,
the first step.
and so if for some boy out there who is effeminate, who is, flamboyant, and that's just who he is,
Hmm.
that character could be really life-changing for him to see that, there is a space for him that exists and that there are other people like him out there. Um, and this concept of more than one, I think, is really difficult for a lot of people in power to grasp. Like if you have the X-Men and you have Storm, suddenly she has to represent all the black characters, that could be.
Hmm.
But you add one more that's different from her,
Right.
you get the idea, okay, there's no longer that burden of complete representation, and you get to see that not everyone is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
There's
know.
not that pressure to be like the model gay or the model, whatever group you belong to or whatever groups you belong to.
Yeah. And that's like, say what you will about Glee, at least its gay characters were like Kurt and Blaine and that football player got Karofsky and Santana and Brittany. So like you could see that they're not all just like one type of gay.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And there's a good point. Wait, sorry, I just scrolled from Lynn. That reminds me of how Mirakira from Star Trek DS9 is bisexual. Yeah, that's another one where like she's definitely like the
Oh,
bad scheming bisexual, the evil like she's so dangerous
in the mirror universe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. The what do they call her? The
Oh, it's not
intendant.
intendant. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
thank you to Taka Oroku, who says Frank Nelson is the character I was trying to remember. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Frank Nelson. Yes. Can I help you? He would always show up. So I'm delighted by Frank Nelson. Look him up on YouTube. He was a character actor from like the 40s through the 70s. Who'd always show up as like a salesman in different stores, frequently on I want to say, was it on Sanford and Son? Like they'd just be at some random store and they'd be like, "Excuse me," and he would turn around and be like, "Yes," and it would always be a different store. It'd be at a shoe store, a jewelry store, or
Yeah,
whatever.
I feel like a lot of cartoon characters have been inspired by him.
Yes, yeah. There's definitely a character specifically on The Simpsons who is very that. But he was part of that whole like whenever you would see like weird variety show characters showing up in things in like the 50s, he would always be there for some reason. Let's see. Let's. Rex Trek says, "I'm in an older generation. Bewitched influenced me." Okay, nothing queer about that. Nothing queer about Bewitched.
About Bewitched?
Yeah.
Oh, and Dora alone.
Oh my God.
Casting.
Yes. No, I think not enough people give credit to Gladys Kravitz as a queer icon. She is, she's always shrieking at Abner about what's happening next door. She is such a caricature of nosy neighbor that even though it's not meant to be like drag, she's just so super fun and campy.
Yeah.
Dylan says Glee felt a little overcrowded with all the gay. I don't know. Like I will never feel overcrowded with gay. I don't think it hasn't happened yet.
I wouldn't care if every single one of them was gay.
Yeah.
So what?
I am ready for. Somebody asked Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just say the one thing I do understand though is that like when I watch Glee, I'm like, wait, this is Lima, Ohio.
Yeah.
Are there really Asian people and Black people and Latinos and white people? Like, is it and how many gay people are in Lima, Ohio? Like that does cross my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that from that point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm not gonna be like, nope, too gay.
Right. That's true. There's a lot that seems to happen. It's like Angel Grove, in that like it's the epicenter of all activity.
I would say Sunnydale, but
sure,
okay.
that too. Maybe there's some sort of like concert choir hellmouth under Lima, Ohio, that causes everything to happen.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So somebody, I was going to say, asked Ruth Bader Ginsburg what would be the right number of women to have on the Supreme Court, and she was like, all of them. They should all be women on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And someone was like, that doesn't seem like too many, and she's like, it was all men for 200 years, so no, that wouldn't be too many.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about queer. Like, what's the right number of queer people to have on television? All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Charles says, I don't know who Frank Nelson is, but I will say yes. I will say yes like that all the time. See, he's penetrated culture, so to speak. Paul says, any Degrassi Next Class fans here? I was recently introduced to Tristan and Miles.
Me.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me about it. I haven't seen it.
This is really, you probably didn't know this about me. I'm obsessed with Degrassi, especially the next generation series. So much so that I went on the I went on the mall tour in California, and I met Stacey Farber and Drake before he was Drake, when he was still Aubrey Graham.
Mm.
Uh, and then I went. That was in L.A. And then I went to the San Francisco one where I met Adamo Ruggiero, who plays Marco, who was gay on Degrassi and gay in real life,
Mm-hmm.
and the actress that played Hazel. But with the new series that's on Netflix, whenever it comes out, I like binge the whole thing.
Okay.
And Tristan is like one of the characters who I think he's like class president. I don't remember, but he's gay. And then the character, I think it's Miles that
Mm-hmm.
he's with. To me, seems to be portrayed as a bisexual character.
That's what Paul's saying. Miles is a dashing bisexual, but the writers keep drowning him in tragedy.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, Tristan, I would say, is more tragic with his like spoiler accident that he's in.
Oh,
But
no.
but Miles is dashing for a handsome young lad. I like him.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm adding that to my list to give Degrassi a shot. Do I need to go back to like the original Degrassi to like get caught
No,
up?
you can totally watch it, just
Okay.
this like new one on Netflix. But the thing I did appreciate about the new Degrassi is that they have an entire season that revolves around all these new students that have come to Degrassi because of Syrian refugees being allowed into Canada.
Oh, interesting.
Like that would never happen on an American TV show.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, it goes there. That's their little slogan. It
Oh,
goes
okay.
there.
It goes. Okay, that's great.
Degrassi. Yes, I'm a big Degrassi fan.
Lisa says, I was at Pride 2 weeks ago, and somehow a lot of the people I talked to agreed that Thor is a lesbian icon, and none of us knew why. I've seen this, and yeah. What's the deal there? Why is Thor a lesbian icon? Because I agree, and I don't know why either. I mean, for one thing, he's just really cool to the Valkyries.
Yeah, I think that he also has something to do with his hair.
The hair is, yeah. He's got, like, high femme hair.
I will say this. I'm not going to try to understand or analyze why he's a lesbian icon, because I think when lesbians idolize a male character, it's often seen as like, well, if you like this guy so much, but you're not into guys, I don't understand it. I don't get this. Like, why is this man your icon? But how many of us gay men idolize women?
Well, yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
that's a great point. And it's not like, oh, I love Judy Garland and I want to be her. It's just,
right.
She speaks to me.
Or I want to be with her.
Right.
Like, it's not that. It's just these icons speak to you. They like, you relate to them for some reason. So I don't know. I wouldn't try to, if the lesbians say he's their new icon, great.
James Harold in the chat has a good theory, is that lesbians want to be him. I don't know if that's 100% the case, but I think there's a lot about Thor that is aspirational for everybody. And
he's practically like one of the only Avengers with a sense of humor.
that's true. That's true. I of all the, here's what it might be, is that of all the Avengers, he's one of the most appealing. So it might not be that he's a lesbian icon so much as he's just very lesbian friendly. I don't know if that, I need to bake that a little longer.
I will say that I don't think that, well, maybe, I don't know, but I don't think that the lesbian iconography of Thor really came about until Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that he does say in the movie he's so inspired by the Valkyries, and that I guess her name is Valkyrie, the Tessa Thompson character, he's so friendly and close with in that movie. That probably has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But he is the best looking.
That's true. That also helps. Let's see. Oh, Craig says, is there a large version of the thumbnail somewhere? I'm trying to tell what the characters are to your left, opposite Sailor Moon. I'm trying to think of like anywhere else that image appears. Yes, if you go to the Sewers of Paris Twitter feed, there should be a larger version of it at the top of the Twitter feed. So just go to twitter.com/Sewers of Paris. They should be there. Let's see. Highwind Odyssey says, as a kid, the characters that influenced me from a show were Amara and Michelle from Sailor Moon. In the English dub version, everyone called them close cousins, even though everyone knew they weren't. Yeah, that's the... I forget which planets they represent.
Uranus and Neptune?
I think that's correct. Yeah, that they were like clearly lovers, but in English version, they're like, oh, my good close friend, or my cousin. They're very close as cousins, aren't they?
Give me a break.
Yeah. Yep. And Dr. Ninja Firefox says Todd from BoJack Horseman is confirmed asexual, and season 4 has him going to meetups and connecting with the community. Those scenes are genuine and sweet. Oh, I like that. Will says Thor is aspirational in that I'd like to have arms like his. Well, wouldn't we all? Either to have them on your body or to have them to rest your head on.
Around your body.
Yes, exactly. James says, "Oh,
I want that.
Go ahead.
I want that Hot Toys. You know the line of toys that are made. They're called Hot Toys.
No, wait. What are these?
They look. That's just their name. They're called Hot Toys. They're sculpted immaculately. They look just like the actors, and they've released them for like a whole bunch of the Marvel, DC, whatever. I want the Thor Ragnarok one so bad, but it's like $300.
Right.
So no.
Is it like just regular action figure size, or is it?
No, they're like maybe twice as big.
Okay.
And they come with lots of different hands and weapons and.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you a link.
Okay. I'm always available to receive links of sculptures of hot men.
Yes.
James suggests the hammer might have a phallic connection. Maybe. I think that might be a stretch. Thor is explicitly terrible at pretending to be Freya, but the giants are dumb. Oh, wait. This is part of a larger... Oh, I see. There's a Norse myth. Okay. There's a Norse myth in which Thor disguises himself as Freya to recover his hammer. Okay, so a little bit of gender confusion going on in the original source.
That sounds like some Loki stuff right there.
It does. Yeah, well, Organized Mess says Loki switches gender in comics.
Yeah.
I definitely, and Danny says the same thing. Loki switched gender in the myths. So I'd love to see more of that in the films.
Birth to a horse.
James says he gave birth to a horse.
Doesn't sound comfortable.
It doesn't sound comfortable, no. I guess when you're Loki, anything is possible. Craig says they were openly lesbian in the sub, which makes their relation to the dub somewhere between, hilarious and creepy. Yeah. I love, watching, my favorite way to watch stuff, not always, sometimes, is to watch the sub and the dub at the same time. So you can hear the English translation, but also read how it was translated differently. Yeah. Princess Mononoke is really interesting to watch that way. And I'm actually... For anybody who's in the Seattle area, I'm hosting a screening tonight of Anoska of the Valley of the Wind. So, and that's a fascinating one to watch with the subs and the dubs at the same time, because what they're saying verbally, basically they took out all the animism in the original, but it's still in the subtitles. So all the nature worship and all of her regard for the natural world, and we have to respect the Omu's their life cycle basically, and we need to get the humans out of their way. That's replaced with stuff that's much more about animals serving people, and nature is there to be a resource for us to exploit. It's very weird how they subtly made some word changes. It's real weird. It's real weird. Aiden says, James gave birth to a horse. No, Loki gave birth to a horse, but it's possible that James is Loki. He is quite the trickster. Craig says that Loki was a female horse the time he gave birth to a horse. It's Sleipnir, Odin's 8-legged horse. Of course. Organized Mess says, Loki does not have gender reveals. He has species reveals. He opens up a box and horse-shaped balloons fly out. I kind of love that. Loki doing a drag number where there's a species reveal at the end.
And then this horse death drops down onto the ground.
Perfect. Yeah, with 8 legs.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So Terry, I've been meaning to ask you, and we're almost to the end of our time, but I've been meaning to ask you, what are you obsessed with right now? What are you watching and consuming in great volumes, other than Degrassi?
That's a very good question. Several things, I guess. Let's see. Where do I start? I've been watching a series with Scott, my husband, called Back in Time for Dinner.
Okay. It's
primarily a British series, and this new season is with an Australian family. But what they do is they force a family to live for a week as if it's, say, 1920. They have to dress that way, and they can only eat what was available in the 1920s. And then the next week they live as if it's the 30s, and the next week the 40s.
Oh, wow.
And they do this all the way up to the 2000s. And it's very interesting to see how technology and war and whatnot really made different foods available. But they're really entertaining. It's a really entertaining series. I like it a lot.
Do they have to live like it's that, or just eat like it's
that?
They
redo their entire home.
Whoa.
So they don't have television. It's interesting when they finally do get a television, say in the 60s or 70s, So yeah, I don't. It's edited to a way where I don't think they have to go out into the world and try to be forced to live that way. But
Right.
at home, they must live that way and eat that way and dress that way.
Wow.
And it's an interesting examination, I think, especially for the children. Like they can't, when one of the kids sees like a rotary phone, or they see like their father took a picture with a camera, and the girl came over and was like, "Let me see it," and he's like, "Oh, no, you have to send this away." And it'll come back in a week with your pictures. And she was like,
Right.
"What?" Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's I've been watching some Netflix stuff because Nailed It just came back,
Hmm.
which is a cooking show where they have three contestants basically make very intricate, crazy baked goods. But it's one of those, like the pictures when it's like nailed it and it looks like total trash.
Right.
They're like really awful bakers, and so it's like a funny
Sure.
show.
Sure.
But that just came back, and so did Glow.
Oh, right. Of course.
So I watched the first two episodes last night, and it's kind of fun. I really like it. Alison Brie, I think, is fantastic in it.
She's wonderful. I want to see her in everything.
She's so good. I will say that one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my entire life is the Alison Brie episode of Janet Varney's podcast, The JV Club.
Okay.
She tells a story about when she was little and how she was in gymnastics and she was on the high beam and she really had to go to the bathroom, but she was wearing a unitard, like a little unitard. That's all I'll say. That's all I'm going to say. It's hilarious. But
she is amazing. And we were just talking on a live stream last night about who we would want to see in a reboot of Bewitched, and I would love to see Alison Brie as Samantha. Wouldn't she be amazing?
She'd be so perfect. She can do so much, especially after seeing her, on Community and on Mad Men.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's brilliant. I love her. I wish she was in everything.
Yeah.
I also just watched a Netflix special. I watched it twice, called Nanette.
Oh, everyone is talking about that. Yes, the chat is so excited for Nanette.
I watched it twice because I felt like I needed to watch it again, and I cried both times.
Okay.
It's Hannah Gadsby. She's a comedian from Tasmania, and she's lesbian and she's masculine, and she basically does this entire set, a comedic set, arguing against comedy.
Yikes.
And it's so interesting because she basically says that, for someone who exists outside the margins, to build a career on self-deprecating humor, it's not. She says something like, "It's not humility, it's humiliation," and that she's just not going to do that to herself or anybody who identifies with her anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sad and it's really good. But I would recommend everybody watch that because I think it's kind of important.
Yeah. Well, everyone is super enthusiastic for it. We had multiple recommendations for it in the chat just in this stream, so I think that's going to be a must watch. Will Schneider says, "I do the same thing as Back in Time for Dinner. Only 1 week is Klingon, 1 week is Vulcan, 1 week is Andorian." Which that's great. I love that. The gak was really hard to eat. You have to keep it live until you're ready to eat it.
Let me know when Trill Week is.
Yes. Oh, yes, Trill Week. You get the little spots all over your body.
Yep.
Almost at the end of Pride Month for Organized Mess. Just a few minutes left, and Idun says in Sweden Pride Month is over. Here's the secret: every month can be Pride Month if you just make it gay. Just make the month gay. Be like, July is going to be gay. And it is. Just declare that it's gay. When you get into an elevator, this is a gay elevator. It's just everything is pride. Let's see. I remember the first time. Oh, quite adorable. Emo Spectre says the first time I saw a male trans character show was Trevor from Shameless. And poor Trevor. Ian still loves Mickey. And Trevor Brown just popped in and said, "I heard my name." Brock says yes to Nanette, touching and funny. Aiden says I'll have to watch Nanette. And Danny says recently Riot Games remade the champ Varus's backstory, where he is actually two husbands. Wait, what? Varus's backstory was two husbands that were forced into the same body by a demon after one tried to save the other's life. Whoa, that's complicated.
What?
Okay.
I did want to mention a book real quick.
Yes.
I just picked it up and it's already great. I heard about it at ALA, and I had to pick it up. It's this book here. It's called Every Heart a Doorway.
Okay.
And it's pretty short. It's not a very long novel, but it's essentially about a woman who runs a home for children who have been to magical worlds to help them transition back to normal life.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to read it because largely that's a bit of what Hotel Dare is like. And I felt like it was a really interesting premise. Like the idea that, if you've been to this magical place, how could you possibly want to like go exist in a boring normal place again? Or do you really want to because it's too much? It's really interesting so far. And I like this premise. But yeah, I think everybody should check it out. It's called Every Heart a Doorway, and looks like it's a pretty quick read. So it's by Shannon McGuire.
Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing. And honestly, it reminds me of like a criticism that I've heard from people of The Wizard of Oz, like the original Wizard of Oz, where it's like, why do you want to go home? Why don't you want to stay in Oz?
I mean, I understand the need of like, but I have to get back to the people that are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, I don't think for Dorothy it was about like, I got to go back to Kansas. She wanted to go back to her aunt.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you read the Oz series, by the 6th book of, I think, 13, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are about to lose their farm. And Dorothy's like, dude, we're out of here.
Yeah, let's just go to Oz. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, and so Danny's, we need more information about that. Varys' backstory is 2 husbands that were forced in the same body. That is fascinating. Is it in League of Legends? Is it a League of Legends character? That sounds amazing. And Lisa P says, I came out to my class just a few months ago, and now I'm going to university in another country. I'll have to come out again to my new friends. I hate that straight is the default. I mean, here's the thing, is, I don't know. Like, it depends on where you're going and what sort of situation you're going to be in. But they may not just assume that you're straight. You may not have to come out. You know, I've spoken to a lot of people who feel like it's a double-edged sword because they're like, oh, I never had the opportunity to have a coming out. Like I just spoke to a writer named Ryan LaSala, who's on Sewers of Paris, about how he felt denied at a coming out because everyone just knew he was gay from before he knew what that was. So, you know, if you're going to university someplace and it's a place where it's comfortable to be queer and open and out, like, you can just show up on the first day with rainbows and...
say if you just walk into your first class like Laganja Stranja, like, come on, college, let's get sick. Then you don't have to really come out to anyone.
Exactly, yeah. Make it gay, like, if you want. Like, it's up to you, like, what's going to be comfortable. But
if you feel safe and comfortable doing that, go for it.
But, like, you know, you could make it your mission.
Yeah, otherwise, just like let people in slowly that you trust.
Yeah, I mean that's another fun way to do it. Is to like go and be like, all right, you know, I'm going to let you assume that straight is a default, and it's your loss, and the people who matter to me are going to be the ones who know the real me. So you know, Will says this is good advice. Be safe, know that we love you and accept you. Danny says, I gotta go, you guys. That's ultimately the important thing: is have fun, do it safely, and do it fun, and find the chosen family, find the queer family that makes sense for you, because that's one of the great privileges we have as queer people, is being able to form our families. I'll make it gay. Aiden says, I'll make it gay when school starts on the photos. Yay! Good. Make it gay. And as always, you know, Aiden, I think you're in Sweden, right? I mean, that's a pretty generally safe place to be out. And Caps, oh boy, I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce. Kalpsotoma says, I've only found your stuff recently, but you make great things, Matt. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you like it, and I'm so glad you're here for the live stream. We're just about at, so we usually go for an hour with our guests, so we're just about 4 o'clock. But we're going to be doing, there's another a bunch of live streams for me coming up soon, so I'll have the information about that in just a second. But Terry, tell folks where they can find you.
You can find me at terryblas.com or at terryblas on Twitter and Instagram. Or in Portland, Oregon, if you see me walking around.
Just walk around Portland until you see Terry. Oh my goodness, you've got some books that people need to check out. You've got Hotel Dare coming out soon. And
Hotel Dare comes out in April. Mm-hmm. Dead Weight, Murder at Camp Bloom is out now. You can pick it up from onipress.com or Scholastic. And I have some mini comics that you can look up online and read online as well. One called You Say Latino and one called Ghetto Swirl.
And they are fantastic. There's, like, I have so many conversations where I reference those specific cartoons. Like, okay, you need some help with your terminology. Here's exactly where you need to look. So
Good, I'm glad.
They're super helpful. And folks, thanks for joining for the live stream. We're going to be doing more of these, of course. The next Sewers of Paris live stream is going to be at around the end of July. Let me just pull up my calendar. Sewers of Paris live stream next is going to be July 21st. But before then, I'm going to be on Dragon Talk, the Dungeons and Dragons podcast and live stream. That's going to be this coming Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific. So you can tune into that on twitch.tv/DND. That's the letter N. And that's going to be on the 2nd, July 2nd. And then I frequently stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/prettyprettypixel. So you can find me there. And of course, subscribe to our podcast, Queens of Adventure. There's the delightful art for it by the fantastic Chad Sell, featuring drag queens playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's at queensofadventure.com. We got a live show coming up in July at Oasis in San Francisco. So check us out for that. And everybody, thank you again for joining us for this wonderful conversation. Thanks for all your recommendations. Thanks to Terry for all of your wonderful insight and sharing your work with us. This was so much fun, and looking forward to seeing you guys again next time. So, bye everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.